Hello folks and welcome to Modular Curiosity episode 18. This is going to be a fun episode because yes, I haven't produced anything the last couple weeks, but it's because we've been waiting for 0.6.0 to come out, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do with that. So let's jump right into it. Yes, Rack 0.6.0 is out, and the installation is pretty similar to what it was before. The plugin manager is back, so if you haven't installed VCV Rack before, it's a free download. Click your operating system, click it, and simply install it. No problem at all. Then you're going to want to go to the plugin manager. And in the plugin manager, you'll see this register login button. Definitely register just with an email. Now, this is safe to register. I've never received any emails from anybody from giving my email to VCV Rack, and I believe Andrew says he's just, yeah, your privacy is fine. What you do need it for is that you then log in VCV Rack, and it will automatically download these plugins. So I'm going to log in, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I have logged in, and we can see how now all those buttons that were blue before are now red, because what I've done is I've simply clicked them. If they say plus, it means I don't have the plugins. I click them, it goes to red, it means they will be downloaded. And I've basically done all the free downloads. Well, there's a new one. Squinky Labs. Okay, well great, that's fun. So we'll have something brand new. I am going to eventually start going into the purchased plugins, but for these lessons and for Modular Curiosity, I want to have plugins that everyone has available to them for free. So we're just going to do that. Right now I'm just going to stick with the free plugins. Now we go over to Rack. And in Rack, normally you would have a login button here. I've already logged in, so it says log out. And basically you log in with the same email and password that you just logged into before. Now you go to update plugins. All plugins have been updated, and notice that Squinky Labs that was brand new, yeah, it downloaded it automatically. I don't have to copy things into my documents directory. I don't have to unzip files. I don't have to do any of that anymore. I just hit the download button and go. Yes, I would like to close Rack and relaunch it. And we're back. So we're relaunched. We have all those plugins. In fact, let's go check and see if we have those Squinky. Was it Squinky? Yeah, Squinky Labs. So I have a booty frequency shifter. Interesting. I'm going to have to play with that and see what that is. You can see that there are quite a few changes here in the right click. Look at all of these modules. But also down here you have tags. For example, if I want to look for clocks, here's all the clocks. Clear filter if I want to look for all of the, let's say, oscillators. Here's a list of all the oscillators. And you come back to the top, clear filter. Right now I have kind of a patch with the clay sequencer, and I'm going to start messing with different things there. This is just so much fun to play with. You just get the strangest patterns and stuff out of this. Anyway, I could sit here and play with this all day. But the big difference in 0.6.0 is this. Okay, you'll notice that this output module, I'm going to mute that. It looks a little different. One of the cool things it has is the bridge. I'm going to say bridge port 1. What this means is now instead of going to my speakers, I can now go to a digital audio workstation. And so I'm going to go do that now. Notice I turn this back on, I unmute it. We don't hear anything here because now I'm going to a bridge. Okay, so here we are in a Digital Audio Workstation, or a DAW. And I must tell you, this one of the reasons this episode is late is because I've been spending the last week and a half trying to get these DAWs working. My original idea was I wanted to show you how to connect VCV Rack to 2 or 3 different DAWs, because I have Cubase LE5, I have Cubase 9.5, I have Traction, which is a free DAW, and I have Reaper. Honestly, I really like Reaper the best. Reaper is just the easiest one of all to do, and it's a 60-day free evaluation, but then for a non-commercial license, which would be the vast majority of us, it's $60, which is dirt cheap for a DAW that has as much functionality as this does. And it's just incredibly easy to use, incredibly obvious to me. So you would go to Reaper FM, download it. Yeah, the purchase cost not so much. It's $60. That's it. But here's the great thing. These videos, there are just tons, there's tons of videos here that go into great detail on how to use every aspect of it. This is incredibly well documented. I mean, my gosh, there's just so much there. I'm just working my way through these basic tracks. And I'll tell you, even by lesson 2, I've learned a ton about how to organize my projects and all the kinds of things Reaper can do. So I'm going to show you on Reaper, but the basic functionality is going to be very similar. Okay, let's look at this. So in any DAW, you're going to have to tell it where to find the VST plugin for the VCV Bridge. And the way we do that is in Preferences, VST. We have to put the path to where the plugin was installed. For me, it was installed in C program files Steinberg VST plugins. And it went into Steinberg because that's the plugin directory that Cubase 5 already told Windows to use as its default plugin directory. When you install VCV Rack, it will ask you, where do you want to install it? And make note that there's going to be 2 of them. There's going to be a 64-bit and a 32-bit. Reaper is a 64-bit. We can see X64 right there. So we're going to use the 64-bit plugin. And so right here we see that we have the x86, the 32-bit plugins, and we have the 64-bit plugins. I could probably remove that one. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm going to rescan. Actually, clear cache and rescan. There we go. Now it's found any new plugins. So I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to make a new track. I can either right-click or Control-T, or the nice thing about Reaper is I just double-click. Boom, there we go. Okay, it's an audio track. Now, the VST plugin for VCV Rack is an effect. So I need to go to the Effects window here. And sure enough, under VST, I have the VST Bridge. So I'm going to say OK. And you'll remember that over here, I selected Bridge Port 1. Let's zoom into that so we can see it a little bit better. I selected Bridge Port 1. So for this sound, I have to receive on Port 1. So let's come back over to Reaper, and you can see I can select any one of the 16 ports. I'm going to select Port 1. Okay, so I have plugged in the port. I have plugged in the bridge to Port 1. And now I'm going to turn that effect on. And sure enough, we can hear it. Awesome. However, if I record at this point, I'm not going to record anything. Let me show you that. So I'm going to arm the recorder. I'm going to say, record this. And my gosh, it actually worked. Record this. And my gosh, it actually worked. Ah! Because guess what? It recorded my voice. It didn't record VCV rack. So let's go ahead and cut that item and say the thing I want to record is not my audio input. I want the audio output. That is, I want this sound right here. That's the thing I want to record, not my microphone. So let's try it again. And if I talk 1, 2, 3, 4, hopefully it's going to record rack and not my voice. So now let's turn the effects off. We're going to come back and play it. And I hope I have rack and not my microphone. Which is exactly what we get. Now that little trick came from Omri Cohen and a video that he did. I'm going to link to that below. That was incredibly helpful. Thank you, Omri. You really dug me out of a deep hole showing me that trick because I could not figure out how to get the recording to pick up VCV rack and not the microphone. So thanks. Okay, so I've set up 3 channels here to match the audio output of the bridge in rack. And if we go through, we can see that this is VCV rack port 1. This is VCV rack port 2. This is VCV rack port 3. And I'm going to pull all my faders down. Enable recording because I'm going to record all of them eventually. But if I turn the effects for the first one on, whoops, not there, right next to it. There we go. And fade it up. We can hear that first channel. I'm going to turn these on as well. Now I'm going to bring that fader down, bring the second channel up. And there's that second sound that we had. And now if I fade the third one in, see, so I have 3 different bridge ports coming into, or 3 different audio outputs coming into 3 different bridge ports. Now, I can bring all of these in, and yeah, it's going to make a big cacophony of ugly noise. But let's record all 3 of them once. There we go. Okay, let's turn all of these off. And we're going to come back and we're going to play. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute this and this. Actually, wait a minute, let me do it a different way. Let's just use the faders. Let's just use the faders. And I'm going to come back to the beginning and play. So here's channel 1. I can bring in channel 2. And I can bring in channel 3. So what I have are 3 different voices which were recorded at the same time, but on 3 independent tracks. And later on, when I want to actually build my song in Reaper, I could send this to an output and I could fade things in. I can even automate these faders of, say, bring them in at a particular time and automatically move them up and down. That's more Reaper lessons than VCV rack. But this is the real core, that you can now have multiple tracks in rack going to multiple tracks in your DAW at the same time, and yet still keep them completely independent. And well, that's it for Modular Curiosity today. Didn't seem like a very long episode, but there's a lot of stuff here. This is a huge advancement for VCV Rack. We've been waiting to be able to use VCV Rack as an instrument in our recording studios for a long time. Now we can. So I highly suggest Reaper. Of all the DAWs I've been playing with, I really think it's the easiest one to use. I've looked into Traction, which is free. Couldn't get that to get together. Couldn't get that to work. Cubase LE5 was working for a while, then became nothing but problems. I have not once had Cubase 9.5 functioning with VCV Rack at all. But give it a shot. Take whatever DAW you have. I certainly recommend Reaper. Try recording VCV Rack into your DAW, because now it works. All right, that's it for episode 18. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And as always, stay curious.